Health North. During this hour, you will hear from the CEO, Alice Taylor, from Broward Health North, and Dr. Gopal, who is the medical director for the infectious disease for Broward Health. We have one goal this morning, and that is to bring you a trusted medical message to the forefront. Dispel all of the confusions, the misinformation, provide sensible insight regarding the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine. We will try to answer all of your questions, so please put all of your questions in the chat. Please place any information about yourself also in the chat so we can contact you for further information. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the CEO of Broward Health North, Alice Taylor.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having this forum for us to get this important message out. It's really my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gopal. She has been one of our superheroes during this COVID campaign. She worked alongside of all the healthcare workers. She reviewed the literature. She taught me everything I know about COVID from day one when we didn't even have a COVID patient. We started to have town hall meetings where she was the guest speaker, and she shared with us the history of the COVID, how it started in Wuhan, China, and just has been probably the expert in our facility on COVID. Not only on how it starts, how you get infected, but also she worked closely with our pharmacy team and the other medical staff to come up with what's working, what medication can we use to help the patients. As you know, it was quite a journey. It was we didn't know what to do some days, and we followed the CDC guidelines, and we tried things. And I think the most important thing that we learned is social distancing, hand washing. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to hand wash. And I have taught all my friends how to hand wash for 20 seconds, and that's a long time. And then also to continue to wear our masks, even though we have our vaccine. I think one of the disappointing things that we're seeing, especially in our own hospital, is that some of our caregivers have not stepped up to get the vaccine. And it's really a privilege to be able to have that afforded to you, because there are misconceptions about the vaccine. So Dr. Gopal will go into those details to really help you understand the importance of the vaccine, and as our ambassadors, to get that information out to your colleagues and your friends and family. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Gopal. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much, Alice, for the wonderful introduction. It is my privilege and honor to be here talking to you all about COVID-19 vaccination. It's exciting. I know the last time we talked, I talked to you all about the severity of COVID-19, the infections, and what can we do to keep ourselves healthy. So right now, I'm very, very happy to talk about the vaccines, because definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel. And so I have put together the slides in a question and answer format, because I've been getting a lot of questions from everyone, and everybody has questions. So these are all information that I have got right from the CDC. So you will be able to, give me 1 second. So I'll be able to give you all those. Give me 1 second. Let me just get my screen.
Dr. Gopal,
Got
we
it.
can see yours.
Yeah, you can see
Okay.
my, okay, I had some issues. Now I can see it. Okay,
Okay,
great.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the COVID-19 vaccines. Currently, we have the Moderna vaccine that is emergency use authorization in US. It has about 94 to 95% efficacy. We have the Pfizer vaccine that also has pretty equivalent efficacy. Worldwide, we have Oxford University vaccine that is being approved in use in India, Britain, and Argentina. There is Gamaleya Institute Sputnik vaccine that is being used in Russia, and then Sinopharm, that is another vaccine in China. But I am going to talk mainly about Moderna and Pfizer vaccine. There is also some exciting news that I would like to share with you about the J&J vaccine, Johnson & Johnson. That is a adenovirus vector vaccine. Basically, that is one shot. They did some trials in US, Brazil, and South Africa. And in US, the efficacy was about 72%. That is one-time dose. That is the advantage of that vaccine. And then that's not approved yet, but hopefully soon. Then there is the Novavax. That is another technology. It is a recombinant vaccine. And that has the trial, they are going to do it in the US. So we will have results. Right now, they are enrolling people for trial for Novavax. About 30,000 people will be enrolled. And so definitely we will have 4 vaccines, but currently we have 2 vaccines. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Next slide. Okay, so the first question, is it safe to get the vaccine? And the other question is, should I get the vaccine right now, or should I wait and get more information and get it later? So the answer for both question is yes, it is safe. And the vaccine, the earlier, the better. So then people are asking, oh, we just found the virus January 2020, and now they have started to give vaccine in a few months. So they must be cutting some corners. And so how can you assure me it's going to be safe? So the answer there is, we have awesome, spectacular, we have made spectacular advances in vaccine technology. So we were already in that advanced level. So that allowed us to get started on these vaccines. These are like newer vaccines, the mRNA technology. We have not done that before. So there was no compromise on any safety or scientific integrity. So that I can completely assure you, because we have data from about 30,000 people for the Moderna trial. We had about 44,000 people for the Pfizer trial. So the analysis is done independently by a committee, and then the FDA will have to give the emergency use authorization. For that, they have to go through all the safety data. They look through all the manufacturing information and look at the potential benefits, and that has to outweigh any risk of the vaccine. So safety has been the #1 priority in development of these vaccines. And so these vaccines have passed all the tests and safety standards. So as you can see, these are the different vaccine trials. And this usually takes a long time, but like I mentioned, all the phases were expedited, but there was no compromise, because initial phase 1, they mainly look at the safety, what is the efficacy data. And then we did go through all the phases. Things usually in the vaccine, other vaccines, there will be some unnecessary delays in getting, but these were all done properly, and we could get through all the, exactly the phase 4, the number of people we had, about 30,000-40,000 people enrolled. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is basically talking about the safety. We have also the ACIP, that is the immunization committee. They also review the safety data. We have CDC, and the other aspect is CDC is constantly monitoring. Right now we have many people vaccinated. So we have a monitoring system to look through all the safety, and they are very transparent about that. Next slide. So the next question is how, these are mRNA technology vaccine. So how does mRNA work?
Joseph, next slide.
Next slide, please. Okay, so the mRNA is a new technology. So basically what it is the mRNA particle will be injected, and they will teach our cells to produce the spike protein. The spike protein is the main protein that is seen in the SARS-CoV-2, the COVID-19. So that is the protein that attaches to the cell. So what we are doing is the mRNA will tell our cells to make the spike protein. That spike protein by itself is harmless. And once the cells produce the spike protein, the body will recognize that we have something on the cell surface that is strange and that doesn't belong to us. And then our own immune system will start producing antibodies against the spike protein. So after the vaccination, the body will be ready with antibodies. So if somebody gets a real COVID-19 infection, we will have already preformed antibodies that will attack and prevent the COVID-19 from attaching to the cells itself. So that is how this mRNA technology works. And there are a couple of advantages to these mRNA vaccines. The beauty of it is the mRNA particles, these can be synthesized, these can be made in the lab. Historically, when we do vaccines, when we have to have certain live vaccines or what we call like live inactivated vaccines, they have to cultivate the virus in like eggs and other media. So in this technology, we don't need to do that. This is not a live virus. And so there is 100%, I can assure you that if somebody is getting a vaccine, they will not get COVID-19 from the vaccine itself. So those are the main big advantages. So we were ready with this mRNA technology, and I am pretty sure we are going to moving forward, we are going to have more vaccines. They are working on tuberculosis, like malaria, even HIV. So there are all around the world, there are vaccine programs already in place. They are going to use this mRNA technology. One of the myths that has been circulating just after the vaccines were approved, even in healthcare workers, were that this mRNA will affect, when they give the vaccines, it's going to affect the DNA of our own cells. That is false information. I even got text messages from some of the other, fellows and, young residents. They were like, does this cause infertility? So this is a myth. So this mRNA particle, once that is introduced into the body, they will instruct the cells to produce the spike protein, and then the mRNA by itself is degraded. We don't carry that mRNA anymore. And this mRNA does not go inside the DNA or change the DNA. It does not interact. So the vaccine does not interact with DNA in any way. So that is the other myth that has been circulating. Next slide, please. So this is basically, I already explained to you, the mRNA, they are not live vaccines, and then that will trigger the antibody response. Now I'll talk about, next slide, please. The differences. So this is a big question. We have Broward facilities itself. We have availability for Pfizer and Moderna. So I work in the Broward facilities itself. I go to 3 facility, Broward North and Broward Coral Spring Imperial, and then I do also work at another HCA facility, Northwest Hospital. So different places. We've been giving Pfizer and Moderna. So everybody has been asking me, what is better? Is one better than other? Should I wait to get Moderna? Should I wait to get Pfizer? Which one will you take? And is one better? So the answer to that question is both are equally efficient. Efficacy is equally the same. And side effect profile is also the same. So it's not that one is better than the other. So whichever is available for you first, you should get it. The sooner you get the vaccine, the better it is. Because the COVID-19 by itself, the infection is very severe. The next slide, I'm going to talk about the Pfizer. I'll talk about the 2 of them. So Pfizer, it is the difference between the 2. They have a lot of similarities, but the difference is few. One difference is Pfizer is approved for emergency use authorization for 16 years of age and older. They are both mRNA vaccine. The Pfizer, both of them, we need 2 shots. For the Pfizer, the second shot is after 21 days. There is a grace period, anywhere between 17 to 21 days. A few days, 2 or 3 days grace period is there. And it's given as an intramuscular shot. And this does not have eggs, latex, or other preservatives. Moderna, same thing. It is also an mRNA vaccine. The manufacturer is Moderna. The number of shots is again 2. The difference here is for the Moderna, the second shot is 4 weeks after. Again, there is a grace period, but 28 days is that is the difference. And the Moderna is approved for 18 years and older. The Pfizer was 16 years and older. Now I will talk about the ingredients. I mean, this is just interesting to know and talk about it. I put that in there. So mainly these vaccines have, both of them have mRNA in there. And they have 4 lipids. So one of the lipid is polyethylene glycol. So we will talk about that in the next few slides. So that is one lipid, and then we have some salt buffers and everything. They don't have any preservatives. They don't have eggs or any other product. And this is mRNA, like I told you, once the vaccine is given, the mRNA is degraded quickly. So it doesn't stay in the body. So this lipid layer, the 4 lipids are kind of protecting the mRNA from getting degraded immediately when it's introduced to the body. So that's what the lipid is doing. So basically, as you can see, both of them are pretty much similar, the ingredients. Next slide. So this is actually, the slide is from November. So the trials, the number of people in the trial actually was, in the end, it was more. This gives a breakdown because there are the questions regarding, is the vaccine efficacy, is it any different in Hispanic or African-American population, Asian population versus whites? That's why I put the breakdown of the the number of people in the vaccine trials. So Pfizer, it was about the Hispanic was about 13%. The Moderna, it was 20%, and then African Americans were like 10%, and Asian was like 6% and 4%, and Native Americans, as you can see in this slide. So both the number of people, as you can see, very huge amount of people were enrolled in the trial. The the Moderna trial, they had about 30,000 people get the, they divided into two, and half of them got the Moderna, half of them got what we call placebo, that is, nothing. In the vaccine group of people, 11 people had COVID, after the vaccine. That means, that is what happened. In the people who got the placebo, 185 people got the COVID. So the efficacy was about 94%. And the severe, so the people who got vaccinated, no severe COVID happened. And in the placebo group, they had about 30 people had severe COVID. In the Pfizer, again, the similar, they had about 40,000 people enrolled. And in the, half of them vaccine group, half of them placebo group. And they had about 8 cases in symptomatic COVID in the vaccine arm. And in the placebo group, they had about 162, cases of COVID. They had about 1 case of severe COVID in the Pfizer. They had 1 case of severe COVID in the vaccine arm. So as you can get from the trial data, these vaccines, they have like 94 to 95% efficacy. That is huge. I mean, that is excellent. That is the best we can get in terms of the vaccine efficacy. Next slide. So the big question, what are the side effects? And what is the risk of anaphylaxis? So the side effects, the main side effect, once the vaccine is injected, there will be injection site pain, swelling, and some people get redness. Some people, they feel tired, a little bit of headache, muscle pain, chills, fever, joint pain. And these are all described, and swollen lymph nodes. The beauty of it is these last only 48 to 70, maximum 72 hours, 48 hours to 72 hours. And completely after that, they are completely better. These side effects are a little bit more common after the second dose. The first dose, mainly injection site pain, and some people had a little bit of pain, but some people didn't even notice they had the vaccine. So that is how the first dose is. Second dose, again, many people of my colleagues, I mean, many of them, they didn't have any issues. Some of them had like a little bit of fever, chills. So that is what we call the reactogenicity of the vaccine. Basically what it means is when you get the second dose, it is like a booster. So once you get the first dose, the body is prepared with the antibodies. So when you get the second dose, the body is reacting as if the body is seeing the real infection, which is actually good, the reactogenicity. So you are doing what you are supposed to do. If you get a fever, that is actually completely okay. And it will resolve in 48 hours. And you can take a Tylenol or something if you're miserable. But again, 48 hours, sometimes it goes away in like less than 24 hours. So the side effect is very, very minimum, but it is expected. So you have to expect and, be prepared. If somebody, I do recommend like they can get the vaccine on a Friday so that you can be off for Saturday and Sunday. Again, now it's not like a formal recommendation because, in the healthcare workers, we all, took the vaccine and then we worked. The next day it's hard to get day off. So that is, just a suggestion. So this is a slide that really talks about the 3 types of allergic reactions. The first one is mainly, the main thing that we have to be worried about is the third one, the anaphylactic reaction. That one is very, very rare. It only happens in 1 in like 100,000, doses. It is very rare. And the I can assure you that all the places that is giving vaccine, they have everything ready for anaphylaxis. This is more like a clinical slide, but basically the gist of it is people can have just after the vaccination, some people can have like a what we call vasovagal. I mean, they can just pass out, a kind of deal. If they are really anxious, that is not anaphylaxis. They can feel dizzy and like some, you just have to wait there and get that resolved. And then the anaphylaxis is the end of the spectrum where all the throat swelling and breathing problems and all those things happen. But all the cases of anaphylaxis that the CDC has reported, all of them completely resolved, and very few had to be hospitalized. And again, we are talking very, very, very few people getting the anaphylactic reaction. So as this is the numbers, there were like, this is as if December, 6 cases were reported. Like I mentioned, there was no severe issues with anaphylaxis. So what is causing this severe allergic reaction, anaphylactic reaction? So like I mentioned in the previous slides, we have mainly the mRNA, and then we have the lipid. One of the lipid is called polyethylene glycol. And this is a common ingredient. This is nothing new. And this has been used for some of the medications, what we call pegylation. Basically, the medicine will be covered in this lipid so that the medicine doesn't get degraded easily. So that has been used a lot. And then colonoscopy preps, some of the laxatives have this PEG. So it is postulated, it is possible that this anaphylaxis may be due to the PEG, that component. Again, when we look at the literature review in the past, the anaphylaxis with PEG we don't have a whole lot of cases. So some of the people postulate maybe because it's not been extensively studied. That may be the fact. So now it may be gaining more attention to the PEG, and again we will be monitoring. One of the other allergic reaction or side effect that has been reported in the vaccine trials was what we call Bell's palsy. But basically that what they found was in general population in a period of time we do see Bell's palsy in the same number happened in the trials too. So we don't think that it is due to the vaccine that the people had Bell's palsy. Again, the Bell's palsy is something that resolves spontaneously, always resolves. So it is nothing major to be worried about. In the trials, one of the other interesting aspects is in the trials, we didn't see a whole lot of anaphylaxis in both the trials. One of the theory that has been postulated is people who have a history of anaphylaxis or they are worried about allergic reaction, they probably would not enroll in a trial. So they probably were not willing to participate in the trial. So when we started giving it out, so then we saw a very few cases of anaphylaxis. That's all. The next question is, who should not get the mRNA vaccine? That's what we call contraindication. That it is a very simple, from the CDC, we have clear recommendation that the only contraindication, that means if somebody is getting the vaccine, the first dose, if they get an anaphylactic reaction, they should not get the second dose. So say if somebody is getting the Moderna vaccine, and if they have an anaphylactic reaction, the question is, can they get the Pfizer? The answer is no. So right now, the recommendation is we have to wait for other platforms of new vaccine that's going to evolve. Like I mentioned, the J&J vaccine may be an option for them, or the Novavax. So after they get the first dose, if somebody has a problem like severe anaphylaxis reaction, then they have to wait. The other people, that if somebody has an allergy to the PEG, the polyethylene glycol, say if they had a laxative or colon prep, and then if they had like an anaphylactic reaction with the polyethylene glycol, they should not get the vaccine. There is also another component that polysorbate. So that has some cross reactivity with the PEG, so that those people, if they have like like severe allergic reaction, they should not get this vaccine. Everybody else should receive the mRNA vaccine. Like I mentioned, it's not like a live vaccine or anything, so it should be pretty safe. And we are getting more and more confidence on these vaccines because we have lots and lots of people who have already received the vaccine, and everybody is doing okay. So it is recommended that everybody who is getting the vaccine should wait 15 minutes for sure at the vaccination site. So that is to avoid and watch them, and if they are getting any reaction, things like that. Some people, they have to wait for 30 minutes. Those are people with history of anaphylaxis to anything. They need to wait for 30 minutes. If somebody is concerned, if they are prone for allergies, I would recommend they should wait for 30 minutes just to get a peace of mind. But other people, they can just wait for 15 minutes in the vaccination site. The reason being, the vaccination sites are all equipped with everything that we need if there is an anaphylaxis happening. So that is basically the observation period, and all the vaccination site, they will have like, the blood pressure monitoring cuff, they will have epinephrine, and, they will have antihistamine like Benadryl and everything. And then they will have a pulse ox to check the oxygen. They will, look at if they are like having heart rate. And the hospitals, we are completely equipped, even with like intubation kits. If somebody is having a real problem and in the hospital, we can immediately transport them, get a very good care. They will have oxygen, so everything is ready. So we have to be assured about that. So this question, I think I already answered. So if somebody has a reaction to Pfizer, can they get Moderna as a second dose? The answer is no, and vice versa. And the other question is, this has been a question, can we take both vaccine to get more immunity? No, the answer is no, absolutely no. So you have to pick one, either Pfizer and Moderna, and get that series finished. What are the reporting systems? So how do I feel safe? How can I find out? This is an evolving field. So if somebody gets a new side effect, how are we going to find out? So we have a reporting system, that is I'm explaining in the next slide. So the vaccination wares, that is the website where we can report. And this is like a national safety warning system, the vaccine adverse event reporting system. And this is co-managed by CDC and FDA. And anyone can report. Basically, this is a website, and you can electronically fill the form. You can just go in and then get the form and fill in one setting. That is basically, after you get the vaccine, you report your side effect. And then one setting you can do that, you can hit and submit, or you can even download that form in a PDF form, and then fill in the side effect you're experiencing, and then upload it later. Anyone can report, but if physicians are reporting the side effect of their patient, that's even better, because we may have like maybe like if this any side effect at this point, if you think, I mean, it is reportable and it's significant or not, that the CDC will determine. And there is also another monitoring system where this is the information for that. Another monitoring system that the CDC, they are looking at some electronic health records, and there is some monitoring going on there also. It's always good to have more than one system to monitor, because if one system is not picking up a side effect, we have another one that can, or if one system is picking up a side effect, then we can validate that with another system. So this is the where's, and this is the phone number that you can even report the side effect and everything to Pfizer directly. And VSafe, that is another vaccination program that is through CDC. Again, it is a reporting system for side effects and anything that is happening. So these are some resources you can look through that. Next slide. Yeah. So this is the Pfizer fax and phone number that is there. Okay, so this is a big question. If someone previously had COVID-19, do they need to get COVID vaccine? So the answer, I mean, there was some debate, and there is still some thoughts and evolving field. The answer is yes. The reason being, we have multiple strains of COVID-19. That's one. The other reason being, if somebody is getting a COVID infection, if somebody is getting a severe COVID infection, the body will mount what we call like a robust antibody response. If somebody is getting like maybe they didn't even know they had COVID, or maybe minor symptoms, the body may not produce too much antibody. And we don't know exactly how long the antibodies last. So definitely the vaccination is recommended. There has been some studies, and we have pretty good assurance that if somebody has COVID, the antibodies will stay for like 3 months for sure, like 90 days for sure. So it's okay to get the vaccine after 90 days. We can, you can get it sooner too, after you completely, get better from the COVID-19, and there is no, no cough, or you're completely non-infectious, you're out of the quarantine, you can get it. The other aspect to think about is if somebody has COVID-19, if they get admitted to hospital, we are giving them 2 treatments. I mean, we are giving them the treatment like the remdesivir, but for some people, we are giving the convalescent plasma. Basically what it is we are, giving a transfusion of plasma that is recovered from other people who had COVID-19. And that plasma has antibodies. So if somebody got the plasma treatment, they should wait for 90 days to get the vaccine. There is another treatment that we are doing mainly for outpatients. That is what we call monoclonal antibody treatment, and bamlanivimab. They made the name very complicated, but basically it's monoclonal antibody. So that is a antibody that is synthesized in the lab against the COVID-19. Unlike the plasma is from the people who recovered, they have antibody. This monoclonal antibody is antibody synthesized in the lab against COVID-19. So when we give them, it's a one-time intravenous shot. That is actually very good to prevent anybody, if they have like mild COVID symptoms, and if they don't have hypoxia, that is, low oxygen levels, if they are not having too much cough and chest symptoms, 1 dose of the monoclonal antibody is given. That is like we are, giving the preformed antibodies, and they are doing really well. So those people, they have to wait for 90 days because they already have the antibodies, the monoclonal. So they have to wait for 90 days to get the vaccine. So this we talked about. They may get another recurrent infection. So that's what we are trying to prevent by giving the vaccine. There is some thoughts that I read yesterday that's again evolving. The people who had COVID when they get the vaccine, is 1 dose of vaccine enough, or do they need to get 2 doses? That is again in debate right now. So current recommendation is, you can give that after 90 days, they need to get the 2, vaccine doses, but that may change in future. I don't know right now yet. So this is the main, will the COVID vaccine cause COVID-19 infection? The answer is no. There is a caveat. If somebody is getting the vaccine and the first dose, if they are in the incubation period, say they are getting exposed to COVID-19 and they don't know they have COVID infection, they are going and getting the vaccine. So after the first dose, they may get a COVID infection. That's not from the vaccine, because before getting the vaccine, they had an exposure. So the virus is already there in the body. And after you get the first dose of vaccine, the body needs at least a week to have some amount of protection. So even before that time period, since they were incubating the COVID infection, they may get a COVID infection, but that is unrelated to the COVID vaccine. So these vaccines, this is we are reinforcing over and over again that vaccines will not cause COVID infection. This is a very good question. If somebody is allergic to nuts or food, can they get COVID vaccine? The answer is yes. As I mentioned before, these components does not have any egg or anything. So if somebody is allergic to, say, any food, pet dander, environment, if they are allergic to any oral medication, latex, eggs, and gelatin, it is pretty safe to get the vaccine. If somebody had an anaphylactic reaction to any of these or anything, they have to wait 30 minutes at the vaccination site, because people who had these anaphylaxis, when they studied, they had some history of anaphylaxis before, or they are allergic prone, so that is there. But it is absolutely okay to get the vaccine, but be prepared, and they need to wait 30 minutes. The people who have like multiple medical problems like diabetes, high blood pressure, and asthma, they have a bunch of medications that they take. Is there any drug interaction with the vaccine and and these medications? The answer is no. So far, there is absolutely no issues. In fact, these people should get the vaccine because they are at risk for getting the COVID-19, and they have to get the vaccine as soon as possible. So how long after the vaccine do we know that we are protected? And how long will the protection last? So after you get the first dose, the amount of protection is minimum. After 1 week, there is some postulation that maybe about 50% protection, but that is not, again, it's not completely clear. People after they get the second vaccine dose, 1 to 2 weeks afterwards is when complete protection, the 94% efficacy is there. So you will be, so after the second dose, 1 to 2 weeks afterwards. And how long will the protection last? It's again, we don't know, but we know for sure that it's going to last, 6 months or maybe more. But again, that is completely, we know for sure that initial 6 months, there should be some protection. After I get the vaccine, can I stop wearing the mask? The answer is no, absolutely not. The reason being, in the trials, they did look at the people after they got the vaccine. If they had a symptomatic COVID infection, or if they had a severe COVID infection, they found out. But if somebody is getting a vaccine, and if they get like a mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic COVID infection, if they don't wear the mask, they can still spread it to other people who are vulnerable. And the other reason is we have many new variants. So definitely we have to continue wearing the mask. Can I travel and do everything as I did in the pre-COVID? Currently, not yet, but the goal is to get about 75 to 85% people immunized, and then we will have herd immunity. And at that time, we will have a certain amount of normalcy for sure. So we have interventions to control. We have to continue wearing the mask, and the mask wearing, again, I see sometimes the mask is right here under the nose. It has to cover the nose as well as the mouth. Frequent hand washing, 20 to 30 seconds, and then you have to avoid touching the nose, eyes and mouth without washing, because that is through where the COVID-19 is going. And then we have to do physical distancing, stay 6 feet away, and constantly touching surfaces, disinfections should be happening. I will talk about a couple of other questions I didn't include that came up after this talk that I gave for the hospital. The question about pregnancy and the vaccine. So can a pregnant woman get the vaccination? So in the trials that they did not include pregnant females. They excluded. And also the question is about immunosuppressed people. Can they get the vaccine? Again, in the trials, these group of people were excluded, but currently we have vaccinated more than 10,000 pregnant females. They got the vaccine and they are doing okay. So in terms of the pregnancy, the current recommendation, CDC is saying it has to be case by case. If it is a healthcare worker and the exposure for COVID is very high, we have to sit down and talk to them about the risk versus benefit. So if somebody is pregnant and the exposure is nil, they can wait. They need to wait because we don't have enough data on pregnancy and what it is going to cause. But if the risk is high, the option is for them, they can get vaccinated. And in terms of immunosuppressed people, it is not because the only concern in immunocompromised people is there might not be a robust immune response after the vaccines. So again, it's not a concern about safety because these are not live. The live attenuated means live vaccine, like inactivated vaccine. These are not that. So there is very less concern. So it is still definitely advisable for them to get the vaccine. The one other question that usually that has come up is, if they take something over the counter, will it blunt the vaccine effect? Like after they get the vaccine? I doubt there is debate going on, but if somebody is miserable, say after the second dose, if they are suffering, I mean, definitely they should be okay to take a Tylenol. Steroids is the one that will, theoretically, steroid is the one that will blunt, but just taking a Tylenol after, if you have like severely sore arm, it shouldn't be a problem in terms of the vaccine effect. So the take home is, please get your vaccine ASAP, whichever is available, wherever you can get it. And this is not a live vaccine, so you should be, okay in getting this. Thank you.
Okay. Denise, are you going to take over? There were quite a few questions in the chat. Some of them I think Dr. Gopal answered, but do you want to go over them again? Denise?
Hi, Alice, if you will pick out some of the questions.
Well, I think they're all important.
Yes, they are. Well, here's one. Our corporation said that they were going to send out an email to the bankers able to receive the vaccine in phase C. Is that correct? Or do we know?
I don't know. That's really
I
up.
can talk about the phases quickly. The CDC's rollout is phase 1A is healthcare personnel and long-term care facilities. So that's what phase 1A. Phase 1B is the firefighters, police officers, correction officers, food and agricultural workers, postal service, grocery workers, and the educational sector, teachers, support staff, and daycare workers. And then people over the age of 75, that's also phase 1B. Phase 1C is where the 65 to 74 years of age, and then people between 16 and 64, that is phase 1C with underlying medical condition. And all other essential workers, that will be in 1C. That's the CDC recommendation. But each state has, different formats, so.
Dr. Gopal, would you address the new strains and where we are with that?
Yeah, so we have actually quite a few strains. One is the South African mutant, the lineage 351. That mutant is, so far, the issue is, it is possible that the vaccines may not be that much effective. So the South Africans, the Novavax did the trial in South Africa, and then the vaccine efficacy was about 59%, versus the Novavax did the trial in UK, so they had about 90% efficacy. So we know for a fact that the South African strain is evading, but right now in US, we are one step ahead. We are going to modify the vaccine based on the South African strain, how it is. There is the UK strain is there, and then there is another strain seen in LA. It's a different variant. I checked with the state health department yesterday in terms of updates. What we are doing in Florida is we are randomly testing for these strains. We had, if somebody, we haven't seen a big, like South African strain or anything here yet. And we are not, but we have to be concerned because the South African strain was seen in South Carolina already. So right now we are not too concerned, but we have to be vigilant and we have to be testing if there is a concern.
Thank you. Could you explain the one-shot vaccines that are coming, when or where, or which ones would you prefer?
Yeah, so currently there is only one-shot vaccine, the one-shot vaccine, that is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That one, again, we will have more information in the next couple of weeks or 2-3 weeks. It has about 72% efficacy. That is one shot. Some people, logistically, it might be difficult to get 2 shots, so that's where we are. And by June, the Johnson & Johnson has promised that for US, they will give us about 100 million doses. We have about 330 million people, so that will be a good addition. But Moderna.
Are you there?
Dr. Gopal, we lost you.
We lost you. If everybody would bear for just a few minutes until she gets back on.
Dr. Gopal?
These are all great questions.
I'm gonna text her, see what happens.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. I'm gonna try to get her back on.
Folks, while you're waiting, are you going to make this available to, as a recording or to send it out?
Yes, we're definitely going to do that. Absolutely. This is too important for us to keep this to ourselves.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think some of the questions in the chat, like that are specific to, there was one that they got the COVID shot, then they developed COVID, and then when should they get it again? I think that's an important question.
Hello, hi.
Hi,
Hi, Dr. Gopal.
I lost some
It's all right.
issue
We're
here
glad you're
with the
back.
computer. Yeah, so I am actually calling in through my phone. I don't know what happened to my computer.
No problem, as long as we have you on.
Yeah.
There was a question, I guess, someone who is fighting COVID right now, taking good care of them and basically has the plasma and the Redisma treatment. How long should he wait to get the vaccine? Is it recommended even though I've already had COVID?
Yeah, 90 days.
90 days.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. And
Yeah,
then-
so
yes,
I'm
go right ahead.
available for more question. I can see you all. I'm calling through my phone. So hopefully I will fix my computer meanwhile.
That's all right. I had my first vaccination on January 19th. I'm scheduled for the second dose on February 9th. I tested positive on January 27th and have been quarantined since. Should I still get the second dose on the 9th?
I definitely, I would recommend to wait to get the second dose. So now that the COVID infection has happened, ideally, definitely to postpone because we don't want, since the symptoms are getting better, it's not good to get the vaccine. So in terms of the timing, they can wait for, did the person get the plasma or monoclonal antibody treatment?
That person who posed the question, you want to answer that? Because it's not in the chat.
Okay, if they got those treatment, definitely they have to wait 90 days. If not, it has to be case by case.
Okay.
But definitely postpone the second dose.
Do you have an oversight over the blood collection entities such as One Blood?
I can answer that. No, we don't have oversight over the collection.
Okay, thank you.
I think too, another question that was important about if you are on immune suppressant medication or you are immune compromised, should you get the vaccine?
Yeah, so currently the recommendation is it's okay to get the vaccine, but I would recommend, they should sit down and have a chat with the oncologist or usually sometimes rheumatologist regarding the biologics that, the immunosuppressive drugs that they are getting. And then risk versus benefit has to be analyzed. It is safe to get it in immunosuppressed, but some people who are going through cancer treatment and all, again, it is a discussion. The CDC is recommending it's okay to get it. Like I mentioned, in the trials, they excluded people who were on immunosuppressive drugs. So we are still, waiting for more data as more people get vaccinated.
Okay.
I have to get on another call. And you said after the booster, 1 or 2 weeks to be at full immunity. Which is it? Because a lot of people like myself have just gotten the second one.
Both of them, both vaccines after 1 to 2 weeks, you will get
I
full
understand
immunity.
that, but what is it, 1 or 2 weeks?
Yeah, so that is variable. If it depends on our own body's reactogenicity, how the body is reacting and how a person is producing the antibodies. So some people who are healthy and if they are, if they are not on any drugs that can blunt the effect and stuff like that, they may be immune, but I would go with 2 weeks to be safe and sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I had a question. You've mentioned, Dr. Gopal, Tylenol. Is Advil also advantageous or just stay with Tylenol after doses?
Advil should not have much effect, but it is more like an anti-inflammatory. So that's why I said Tylenol. If somebody has any issue with Tylenol, they can take an Advil. It shouldn't be too much of an issue at all. So either is fine.
Thank you.
Dr. Gopal, Alice Taylor, we want to thank Broward Health for being our supportive sponsor as well as our health provider. Thank you for doing all the great work that you're doing in the community. To all those who are on this particular platform, stay safe, do all the things that we need to do in order to provide the kinds of safety. Have a great day. Thank you for being with us and hope to see you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very
Bye.
much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.